So time again. Yeah, this is working. Time again to record my thoughts on the mix. So I just finished recording, I guess, Catnip Sessions 1 or Volume 1. It was 22 songs, ended up being about an hour and a half long. It was a marathon. So the fun thing with that is I did mess up a few times. So the version on YouTube is not going to be is not the fine it's not the first version, but I can probably put some songs here just to fill up the screen with stuff. Oh shoot. That should go like this. No, Femme Fatale should go somewhere else. The green chords. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't matter. What was I saying? Yeah, it's not the first thing that I recorded. I actually got about 50 minutes in the first time, and then I did a dumb mistake. I probably could have recorded it the first try, first attempt, if I hadn't done that dumb mistake. So I'm actually very happy with how it turned out. There's one transition that's pretty garbage, or that's garbage. It's just rough. I think what was it? It was I think Back in Time into Gaia. It was a weird transition because I couldn't fit. So there's two transitions in this dumb. I think Open Skies. I think it was Open Skies to Rain chords. I absolutely had no idea what to do. I really didn't like, and then just in and out of Mysterious Times. No, actually, out of Mysterious Times was amazing, but in and out of Gaia, it was a bit weird. So I think it was Back in Time into Gaia that I really, really didn't know what to do. And I ended up not really liking what I had planned for it anyway. And I messed up on the transition. The transition went fine. I just turned the wrong knob because I'm a complete knob. It doesn't sound so. It sounded worse in my head as I was recording, and then I listened to it back a couple times. It's rough, but it's not as bad as I thought. It's not good, but it's better than I thought. Right? It's better than what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, so I'm actually very happy. It's long though. It's a marathon. 22 songs is long, but I do like the length, the hour and a half length. So my next mixes may be somewhere between 15 and 20 songs. That should be somewhere in the hour and a half range. I don't really mind. But yeah, no. The thing that I liked was that I did take notes, so I kind of not standardized, but I kind of um how can I put this? Yeah, I guess I kind of standardized my notes if you want to look at it that way. I figured out a way to write down some information in short form, in shorthand, that helps me out when I'm just mixing, just looking at it. I know what to do fairly quickly just by looking at it, as opposed to reading and trying to figure out what I want to do. So that helped. But I was a lot more comfortable doing transitions now than in the previous mix I did. So yay me. I think it's just so I think yeah, I think it's just getting comfortable with my notes. So the thing that I'm really curious about, still curious about, is are the DJs on stage in festivals and clubs, whatever. I'm sure they have some sort of idea. Generally, have some sort of idea of what their playlist is going to be, of what to do. Do they just kind of wing all the transitions, or do they kind of have ideas? Because there's obviously tutorial videos on YouTube that have a couple of transitions that you know very well, and then that can do really well when you need to do them, but don't be super set on like your entire set, right? Don't be. But the thing is that like if I'm just grabbing a random song, I'm gonna have to figure out how to mix it into a different song. The issue with that is that the thing I learned about making this mix is that um, songs don't some songs just don't mesh well together. I think Gaia didn't mesh well with Back in Time and Mysterious Times. Mysterious Times didn't mesh well with Gaia and the other one. And does it even matter? I did make it work in the end, but it took a long time to figure out how to mix Mysterious Times into Does It Even Matter. I really liked the way it ended up, but it's yeah, so some songs just don't mix well together. So if I'm just playing random songs and just if I'm playing a song and then just grab some other song that I'm not sure about, that I didn't plan on playing, how do I know it's going to mix well? And how do I mix it properly? Because the mids might clash. The highs in some of these songs clashed. Right, there's a couple songs where I just very quickly boosted the highs at the drop point between song one and like between the I guess incoming or outgoing song and the incoming song. I just boosted the mids or the highs right there because it clashed so badly with, because not badly, it was because it clashed with the highs of the two songs clashed. And so I'm just kind of like playing with the faders. Didn't really I didn't want to do that. So same thing with the bass. Sometimes the bass was a bit weird, and then the mids were generally kind of annoying together. So, which is kind of weird because most of the mixes. So the thing, the thing now is that every time I listen to a mix, I scrutinize every transition, every transition the DJ makes, just to see how it's done. And the fun thing is that in general, the things I do are kind of the things that they do. They just probably have better song selection. And so this kind of tells me that it's nice to have a plan like this, because the idea with this with the song order here was the songs started at 125 BPM and they kind of moved up and moved up and moved up and then all the way to 150 BPM. So the mix started slower and it went up to something really pretty fast. So that's kind of like the idea of this mix. And because of that, I just picked songs. I didn't. How can I put this? The songs had a very specific place to be, as opposed to what mixes well with the previous song and the next song. So I think most DJs will just pick songs that work well together and aren't gonna have this type of um this type of plan. I know that Marlowe kind of had that plan at, what was it, Ultra? No, not Ultra, AMF this year, where he started off fairly light trance and then he got into kind of like decent techno over the course of his set. It was actually pretty fantastic. But anyway, um, so this I like the idea I had. It's also one of those things where I probably could have spent like another like 3 months listening to a bunch of different songs to try to see what fit together. But I'm actually pretty happy with all these songs, with the exception of Femme Fatale. The song I like, the vocals I like. It's just unfortunately the performances, the performer didn't hit the notes they were supposed to hit sometimes, and so it was a little screechy occasionally, just because I don't think the notes hit properly, which is why I had like a phaser or a flanger throughout the entire time for half the song, for half the song, just because I was trying to mask the vocals a bit, or yeah. So there's that. Yeah. So yeah, more questions on like festival DJs. Do they have their, because a festival is a bit different than a club, right? If you're in a club, people are there to have a good time and you're there to accommodate them. At a festival, people come to see you. Well, sort of, right? I mean, it's kind of that way. So at a festival, people come to see you, or they go to a specific stage for the type of music that they want. And so as long as you're providing that kind of music, most people are happy. Or at least I've been happy. I mean, if you go to a bass stage and you're playing dubstep, I mean, yeah, what else do you want? Um, so I think at a club or at a wedding or at a, that kind of gathering, it's a bit different because you're there to make sure that people are, well, you're always there to make sure that people are moving, but you're there to accommodate them, right? You're there to change your rhythm to what they want. Your song selection to what they want. Whereas a festival is a bit different, where people just want to party, and as long as you are delivering enough energy, then it's okay. It's good that way. Yeah. So maybe not necessarily song, maybe planning a set at a festival, for a festival setting, is a bit more normal. whereas just winging it at a club or a wedding or something is a bit more normal. So I'm not sure. I'll have to. I don't know if I'll ever. I don't. It doesn't really matter if I care. I'm not really gonna figure that out now. Put it that way. Later. But yeah. So a few things is yeah. I'm happy with how it turned out. I did learn a few things on how to uh how to notate my stuff and just give myself it's like kind of like instructions on how to handle just generic transitions, so that's good. I had a couple more things I want to say, but I guess it doesn't really matter too much. I don't know what my next. I'll put it in the description of the video if I really remember what I wanted to say. But it was about. I don't know. Yeah, and there's also this weird thing that can happen. I'm not really a huge fan of this. Whereas you can see, no, you can't see for this. Stars over Dubai is 134.10 BPM. So the problem with that is it's either variable BPM throughout the song. Another thing I don't know if it's I don't know why it does that. The beat grid I had to fix, and even then it's not perfect because you can see here it's not lined up properly, but it works. It worked well. So I really wanted to put this song. Yeah, see, it works. So I don't know if the reason I think what may have happened is someone's just doing things manually without using like a drum machine, or is just kind of doing the drum beats manually without quantizing properly. And so, or is quantizing, or is doing a drum beat manually and is quantizing it too small, as like a too short of a note, and so it ends up being a bit funny, this song. Now luckily I found a way. I'm actually kind of happy in how I led into Stars Over Dubai and how I led out of it. So I'm happy. I wanted to integrate. There's actually two more songs I could have added instead of Journey of the Sun, but I just couldn't figure out how to go from like the songs mixed in well, no problem, but because they had like variable bit rates, or Record Box couldn't figure out the beat grid, and even then I tried to tweak the beat grid with like different BPMs, and like it was definitely variable BPMs. It was definitely weird, and I don't know why that happens. And it's not like it was drum and bass where it's like 170 BPM, but Record Box is just sort of all confused and it says it's 130 or something. No, this was definitely like it was in sync at the start of the song, and then at the end of the song it was completely off, right? So it's not like those two other songs. It's not like they were weird, like they were weird in some way. But anyway, so Stars from Dubai, I figured out a way to get into it and to get out of it, and which is nice because I really like the song. It's nice and flowy and epic, and um very nice. Couple things on Yeah, a couple things I learned is that there's a couple songs, yeah, Eternal Skies, Infinite Orbit, Don't Be a Fool, are all weird trance main floor picks. Um, Eternal Skies and Infinite Orbit are really nice. I really like the songs. I was kind of debating whether I should put two songs from the same person from the same album, no, same release, no less, one after the other. I'm like, whatever. They both sound good. They mix in easy, and I think they fit in well with the flow of the mix. Now that's what I think. I'm gonna have to listen to my mix to see how it sounds. Because one thing that I'm still iffy about, and I don't know if I'll ever. I don't know how long it's gonna take to. I mean, maybe this is a bad idea here. Um, to get used to this, but like I picked in points and out points that would be that I think worked well. Now, the phrasing is kind of weird because sometimes yeah, this is fine because it's 192, but like sometimes the phrasing is a bit weird in that. Yeah, here you go, right? Oh no, this is fine. But sometimes the phrasing is weird in some songs where it was like the drum beat was at beat 44 or weird or something like that, right? It was right in the middle, or like 46 or some weird crap like that. So I didn't pick the phrasing based on the beat numbers. I picked the phrasing based on the song itself, and I may have messed that up. So I'll just have to listen to it to see if the song, if the mix from, I'll have to see if the mix flows properly from song to song, right? Because if there's a drop, so if I mix a song and there's a drop 16 beats before, 16 bars before, and 16 bars after the transition, like the final transition, that's great. But because it makes sense. But if there's a transition, or if there's a drop or a change in phrasing, like three bars before the transition, and then the next one is like 12 bars after, well, then that's just weird. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that in my next next thing I want to do. So I'm gonna have to listen to that to see how it flows, because individually I think they worked fairly well together, but it's just as a whole, does it mesh properly? So there's that. I also am not sure what I'm going to do for my next mix. I definitely want to make a next mix. A couple of ideas is I want to go into more like peak time techno, driving techno. But I also had the idea of, like, right, the idea is you're a bad DJ if you play two songs by the same artist back to back, or within the same set, because I don't know, there's a million songs out there. But I was thinking of is doing like peak techno and then just like actually doubling up each artist. just having two songs per artist, just to try something different, right? And this is where I don't know if this is a good idea, because am I picking songs that will mesh well together as opposed to picking songs that fit a theme, right? So I'll have to figure that out. But I definitely want to do peak time techno to see what it's like to mix that stuff together. And again, I'll try to do 15 to 20 songs. I think that's something I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I'm gonna have to just listen to a ton of stuff though. And the Beatport app is not complete, but nearly complete nonsense. Okay, anyway, I've yapped for 17 minutes about nothing. But okay, so overall, I'm very happy with the mix. The transitions are not like, some of them I like, some of them are not great. One of them is just really rough. I think it's fine. I don't think it's horrible. The thing is, I was listening to like Armin van Buuren and Tiesto and Miss Monique and Charlotte DeWitt, and these are the people I generally listen to, and a bunch of others, right? But and I'm like, I'm mixing, right, and I'm transitioning from one song to the other, and I'm like, that sounds okay, and then I go listen to them, and I'm like, okay, no, that sounds like crap, right? But then there's a couple of other DJs that I've listened to recently in the past few days, and they're good DJs. There's nothing wrong with them, but like their transitions are not as good as Miss Monique or Charlotte DeWitt, and I'm like, oh, okay. So if this pretty popular DJ artist can make an hour long podcast thing that sounds like that, then my transitions aren't horrible. they're just not as refined, but they're not, I could do what I do just with a bit more. So I think okay, so I could do what I do and be decent at it, because that DJ was popular, and some of the transitions were not didn't flow as well as some of, like, as like Miss Monique. Miss Monique, I think, is like amazing transition work, but yeah, didn't flow as well as my favorite DJs. And so, okay, fine, that's fine. If they can do that, I can do this, and I can refine what I do, and be good at it. So, and then refine what I do and then be acceptable, right? And it'll be fine. The other thing with that is that I don't know how much I should let the transitions breathe. So if I just took C to D here, just as an example, and then just looped that, or if take A and B, because that's, whatever. The idea is that if I take a loop and then just loop it over and over, like how, especially for this type of music where it's like 150 BPM really fast, and you kind of want to get to the next song, and you can't really linger too much in the trend. Like how much transition can I have? Right, because my transitions were generally from 35. No, sorry. What did I do? Number. We're usually up like 40 to 45 seconds up here, and then as the songs got faster, like 35-ish seconds. So those are the transitions I have in there. But others, like, how long can I? How long does? What is the proper length for a transition? See, that's another thing. Is that if I have to loop two things, if I have to loop, say, A to middle of A and B, right? Or middle of A and, yeah, middle AB to B, and then just loop that over and over again. Or, A to middle of A and B, and then loop over and over again, and then just hot QB when I need to jump into this song. Like how many iterations of that loop should there be? Right? That's the thing that's going to bother me until I figure it out. I think at the end of the day, I think if it sounds nice and it keeps the energy, it doesn't really matter how long or how short it is, right? Because the transition from Mysterious Times to Does It Even Matter is very short. Is probably like 10-15 seconds, and is my favorite transition. Right? Whereas what else is it? It would be a bit long. Like there's a couple of there's a shoot. What was it? There's a transition over. Was it Gaia into Mysterious Times? Is a bit longer because I needed a bit more. No, not that one. My original transition between these two songs was much longer than what it is now, because I had a bunch of different. I just needed more time right. So I think if it sounds nice, it doesn't really matter how long or how short it is. But I just have to figure out the best way to transition, the smoothest way to transition. I have to figure that out. Yeah. So maybe peak time techno will be a bit easier. I'm not sure. That's probably not true. Each genre probably has its own issues with transitions. And even down to the song level, maybe each song has particular peculiarities with transitions. Yeah, so after recording my set, my mix, I guess. Those are all of the questions I had. Not all of them. Those are the questions I can think of right now within this video that's gone on way too long. Right? What is it? It's probably better to pick song selection over theme, right? Um, Transitions are kind of irrelevant if the people you're playing for enjoy the energy, and the length of the transitions probably doesn't matter as much as it probably doesn't matter if the transition sounds good, because some transitions are just very short, like going in, was it yeah, going from Don't Be a Fool to Obstacle, no, not Don't Be Fools to Obstacles. um was it, yeah, exemption expedition of I think it was Expedition of Life into Don't Be a Fool is like just like a second, it's just like a second, like it's very very, there's no transition. It's just one song. Is it that one? Yeah. uh yeah. From Expedition of Life to Don't Be a Fool, it's just the one song ends, the other one begins, and they're both kind of like explosiony or like bass drum, and then that's how they start, and then there you go, just perfect transition there. So that's probably the shortest transition. It's like a beat for the transition. And the longest one I had, I think, was, I don't know what it was. Probably the first Colors of Life to Journey of the Sun. Journey to the Sun. Anyway, so yeah, so those are probably my thoughts. I don't know if that's true or not. And I'm gonna so things to work on are obviously transitions always. Trying to I did use a loop. I did use a loop which made me happy. Actually, technically I used two loops. One of them was not really necessary. Um, the mysterious times I ended up looping mysterious times just because the intro to Does It Even Matter was longer than the last part of mysterious times that I wanted to keep. Which is a weird explanation, but anyway. So yeah, so I used the loop there. It was kind of pointless. It was just to loop the drum beat essentially over and over again. And then I used a loop in Infinite Orbit to transition into Stars Over Dubai. And that was a bit clunky, I think. I did record it, but like before recording the mix, I did record the transition a bunch of times to see if it sounded okay. It sounded okay, but you know. Anyway, yeah. So those are all my thoughts. Well, some of my thoughts. I'd probably have more. I'll write stuff in the description if I feel like it. But overall, I'm happy. I did learn a lot, and it really helped me refine my notation for mixes. And my hope is that I'll just start remembering how to do transitions. Right. The main thing with a lot of these is I do quick quick transitions. How can I just swap the low EQ a lot, right? It is a bit awkward, but I kind of sounded like the way it sounded. It's just remembering which bar to hit that swap at. That's the thing that is a bit tricky to remember, because stuff after that is kind of standard. It's, find a spot to introduce the high EQ, start transitioning mid EQ, and then hit that low EQ swap, and then just do the rest of the mid EQ transition somehow, either flanger or high pass filter or whatever. But it's just, yeah, so it taught me that. I learned that for me, if I'm gonna do quick swaps for EQs, it's just which bar to do it at, like when to do it, so I can see it coming. And I guess I could technically put memory cues. So yeah, I could technically put memory cues on a bar here, but I already have memory cue. Oh, there's no memory cues in here. But I already have memory cue, and the memory cue colors all mean something. Oh, maybe it could be pink. Yeah. Again, okay, so anyway, I'm not gonna figure that out now. Again, ideas, like questions that I have, right? Seeing how, like where to drop things, where to mix things, where to, or how to, or just refine my transitions, right? Do I need to do all the things I'm doing, or can I just do like a drop mix instead of trying to blend the songs together, and it still has the same impact, and it still sounds good, and it still has the energy, right? So all of these things, so these are all questions I had when I was creating the mix and when I was mixing it. Still questions I have now. They're not going to be answered soon, but you can kind of get the idea of what this is probably an idea. Like every DJ probably goes through this, right? Everybody that's mixing music probably goes through this crap, but it's my crap. And so it's fine. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it was way too long. It's pointless. Let me know what you think. Did you like the mix? What could be better as opposed to all of it, right? Just please be very specific. All of it is fine, but like what could be better? Let me know what you think, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.